Is it now the beginning of the end for Mr. Pierre Gasly after signing a brand new contract with Alpine? I have a feeling this is it. It's over for Pierre Gasly. And the reason I say this is, who in their right mind signs an extension deal with Alpine? Who does such a thing? You only do that when you think that is it. I've got nothing else. I've got nothing else. And you know, a lot of it is it's the Frenchman and the French team, a bit of loyalty, a bit of continuity. I'm not seeing any of that, if I'm honest. I'm looking way past those reasons as to why he signed. Alpine, we've said many times on this channel, are a complete joke. They're a complete joke. And the first signs as to why I think this is the beginning of the end. First of all, he's joined Alpine. When you join Alpine, it is what it is, okay? We know as well, as the season's gone on, Alpine just don't have the vision that they once projected up to us. You remember Alpine when it was Renault, and then even when it changed to Alpine, it was talking about 100 races to win a race. It had big ambitions. It had all things in place. It was one of those teams where, on the scale of things like facilities and everything else, they were probably like the third, fourth biggest team in Formula One, comfortably. Can provide engines, have a factory, they provide cars, the amount of talent we've seen come out of the Renault Academy, phenomenal stuff. But it's all been potential. You forget even, you might be, you know, forgiven that you forgot that Fernando Alonso wins the title in 2005, 2006 in a Renault. That light blue and yellow that we like, that's such an iconic color scheme. That's a Renault team. That's what Alpine is now. That's what they were back in the day. Can you imagine? Could you believe that? I certainly can't. But look, here's some of the things that I think is that should be concerning if you're Pierre Gasly. Number one, the lack of better options across the table, because the argument might be made, look, Peter, what are you talking about? Where can Gasly go? And that's a very good question. It's a very good point. Maybe there just isn't a space for Gasly anymore. You know, maybe Red Bull is definitely over, especially when he left Toro Rosso. What are they called? The V Carb now. You know, Alpha Tauri. They've had so many names. Especially when he left them, it's like, well, now this is over. So the Red Bull dream is gone. Mercedes, Kimi Antonelli's there. George Russell, you'd think, has to be there. Can they really see that? And if anything, if they're flirting with any other driver, it's going to be Max Verstappen, as we've seen all of 2025. Aston Martin, maybe. You know, I look at the Fernando Alonso of it all, because we know Lance Stroll ain't going nowhere until he says I'm done. And if Lance is done, how long does Lawrence Stroll stay around? Does he hold the fort for the guys? I'm not sure. He might take his money elsewhere. Remember, he has bought part of Aston Martin anyway, so he'll still be an owner. But I genuinely do not know where else Gasly could look. So the lack of options, and this is the thing, when you're a good driver, more options become available. So let's not just go on the basis that because other drivers have got contracted seats and everything like that, that's all it means. Lewis Hamilton moved to Ferrari, kicked out Carlos Sainz. Do you know what I mean? When the driver's available, options are available. And with Gasly, it was clearly time to renew a contract. He could have waited till the end of the season, but you know what? Maybe Alpine would have turned around and said, hey, listen, if you don't sign with us now, we're going to go get somebody else, because Alpine have got drivers. They've got drivers behind them. And lest we forget, Colapinto is on the other seat today, but also this season was Jack Doohan. So you tell me that's another reason, by the way. Look at the chaos. Look at the driver chaos at Alpine in general. A team that doesn't know it's behind from its elbow. It doesn't know what's going on. And I like Flavio Briatore. I think he's such a great character to have in Formula One. And I genuinely think he will make that team run seriously. And maybe they might even look at Christian Horner down the line. It could be. Maybe there's a video to do there regarding Christian Horner. Who knows? But which driver pairing will Gasly have? Does that matter? I think it does to an extent. But because you want to have a good driver, like you're going to be challenging up against your teammate, but you also want to have a good driver so that you can both develop the car well together. You both have a good understanding of the car. When I heard Bottas was linked with Alpine, I thought, well, that could be interesting actually, because they've got like a seasoned vet in there now, like a proper serious head, somebody who knows Formula One well and will probably know how to develop and adapt a car. Who knows? Maybe so. But the third thing as well, where is the competitiveness now of this Alpine team? I'm not seeing Q3 appearances. I'm not seeing points finishes. We're not seeing podiums. We're not seeing race wins. This is the worst team in Formula One today, in 2025, right now. They're behind Sauber. They're behind Haas, behind Williams. And bear in mind where those three teams I've just mentioned, where they were. So on one hand, you could say this is, okay, fine. They're having a terrible time, but they might improve because moments change in just a second. Okay, fine. Moments do change. But they're behind the teams I just mentioned. That is a big problem. That is a big problem. There's no competitiveness. Not since the days of Cyril Beatable. Can you imagine? You know, they've gone through it all, man. Ollie Oaks, they've gone through Otmar Safnauer. They've gone through it all. Different Permain. There's also, I mean, there's been so many people. Fabian, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, there's so many names that I'm actually running out of it. You know, the management chaos. That's the other thing I'm talking about. The management chaos, you know, that's the fourth problem. That's the fourth sign that this is the beginning of the end for Pierre Gasly. Because who is going to be the CEO? Who will be, by the time this video comes out, I'm sure there's going to be something new to talk about with Alpine on the sort of the leadership roles. Who is going to be the CEO next season? Who's going to be the team principal next season? The race engineer, strategist, the lead, the chief, whatever. It doesn't matter if you know it now, because you might not know it again in 6 months. That's all it takes. And listen, Pierre Gasly can't fix this. You know what I'm saying? He's just a driver. He ain't fixing this situation. So what on earth does he do? Man, I feel sorry for him. You know? And that stagnation of the other drivers. We've known Alpine in the past to develop a lot of drivers. The Renault Academy has been superb. And yet we're not even gonna get them. We're not getting them because Pierre Gasly's hopping on that seat. Do you know what's even funnier? This is Renault, you know, aka Alpine. And yet and they supply engines in Formula One. Their engine is currently a Renault engine, currently in 2025. But in 2026, they are moving away from their own engine supplier. And they are going to Mercedes next season. You have to pay attention to that. Because even if Mercedes is the best engine in 2026, which is what everyone's trying to say, what does that mean for your engine? What do you think about your own engine? What do you think about the people that are working on your engine? And by the way, that's a whole bunch of staff that are no longer working on that Renault engine anymore. Because it would have started, they only announced the Mercedes move this season. So they would have started working on the Renault engine for 2026 with the new regs. That is damning. That is damning. If you're a Renault driver, an Alpine driver, their own team don't even believe in their own engine, or worth even you know trying to even use their engine to bolster themselves, and maybe be able to supply to other teams. You know, if you remember, Red Bull once upon a time used to have a Renault engine. McLaren used to have a Renault engine. So and now look at them. Williams used to have a Renault engine. There's just no clear long-term project with them, is there? That's the other point. There is no clear long-term project with this team. There is no future. There is no light at the end of this tunnel. That's one of the big reasons why this is the beginning of the end for Pierre Gasly. And it might be the beginning of the end for Renault and Alpine altogether. That's another video. But for Pierre Gasly now, he must be thinking, well, what is going to be Alpine over the next 5 years? Let's say 3 years. What's Alpine's vision over the next 2 to 3 years? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. And they've gone through the chaos in the past, having, we're talking about drivers earlier, having Ocon at that team. Like, whoever put that decision together was clearly nuts. And so much so that even towards the end of Ocon's career at Alpine, they didn't even let him finish the last race of the season. They'd already dropped him for Jack Doohan. And yet he's Alpine's last race winner. If you remember Hungary 2021. the first year of Alpine. This team is just unserious. What's the media perception of this team? What's the fanfare of this team? Unless you're either a Pierre Gasly fan, like a proper fan of Pierre Gasly, or French, maybe because you want to support your own, your own car manufacturer and everything of that sort. The French flag is getting lower and lower in Formula One. We've already lost the French Grand Prix, and now this. We're losing a French engine for next year. Yeah, I can't see anything more positive to say regarding Pierre Gasly's extension at Alpine. If he's probably saying like, look, I just want to be in Formula One and ride off into the sunset, good choice, no problem. You might have some DNFs though, but no problem. You're still in Formula One, in all seriousness. But I'm not going to take that this signing or re-signing is being dressed up as faith or as loyalty to the team, believing in projects. We love a project word, don't we? I'm not having that at all. It just, to me, feels more like settling and accepting the fact that this is the end. To all the Gasly fans out there, Pierre Gasly's made it very clear what he thinks of his own career in Formula One. And that is, I'm here to finish off in Formula One with some dignity, with some pride. And that's as far as it's gonna go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is this the beginning of the end for Pierre Gasly? YouTube thinks you will like this video over here, so make sure you go ahead and click that. And until next time, lights out.